I reuse the little plastic containers that I buy plants in, herbs, tomatoes, and whatnot. But they fall apart all the time, and I don't like starting seeds in them. Germination rates on seeds are, they're pretty low. Or at least in my experience, they're pretty low. Depending on the seeds. I've got good luck with basil, but as you can see here, these are, let's see here, these are my sweet peas here. Let's see here, from this line over are sweet peas. I've actually got some moonflowers over here. Moonflowers are tricky. If you ever, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but moonflowers can be a pain to start if you don't do it right. You gotta scarify the seed coating. I normally soak them in water overnight. I've got them just starting to pop through here, but I can already tell that I'm looking at about a 50% propagation or germination rate on those. My sweet peas, I'm looking at about probably 60%, but things like basil, I normally have probably 90-95%, and this is with just your standard store-bought seed, typically Burpee, a couple of other ones as well. But in any event, reusing these is great, but I don't like starting my seeds in there. It's just a pain. Plus, as you can tell, they all get torn and whatnot. That plastic is pretty flimsy. So after a use or two, they fall apart. So I like to make a wooden tray for starting my seeds out, and it just works out rather well. I've got a couple of them now. I need a bunch more for this year. I'm running low on some space this year. So that's what we're going to do this afternoon. And I think I've got 6 or 7 that I'm going to make this afternoon. So I'm going to go cut some parts, and I'll take you along for the ride. Sides, ends, bottom. 1/4 to 5/16 of an inch. 5/8 for the sides and ends. 12 inches wide, 22 inches long. Square up your ends, set your fence to 12 inches. Go ahead and mark the sides. Or the side width on the ends. And you're going to want to make some sort of decorative pattern here if you want to make it fancy. I like to make cardboard templates or thin plywood templates for things that I'm going to do a couple of. I've got the center marked. I've got 2 points marked for the end points of a handle hole, and then I just simply round it over the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and use the scissors and cut that out. Now use this and simply transfer your pattern and your holes. Make sure those holes go through. ready to get cut and drilled. I use a center punch to punch my holes. Make sure I'm getting them in a good spot, and the drill has something to register on. Makes it easier, especially since I'm going to be doing this outside of the drill press. This is an 1 1/8" Forstner bit. You can use a spade bit. Set it to the edge of the hole. And just mark a line. So now we got lines here. We're going to cut that out, and we're going to cut our decorative roundovers there. We need to cut out that center, and to do that I'm going to grab some scrap wood, set it up. And we'll clean this up with a rasp, some sandpaper edges as well. I'm going to hit these edges with a router and a chamfer bit. If you're not going to do that, make sure you round over just these edges. Otherwise, when you grab it, you're going to be hitting a sharp edge every time. And sand quite a bit. Don't sand these ends because that's covering that end. Just lightly clamp, just enough to hold it in place, but not enough to bend the wood out of a straight, parallel, square. Make sure your side and your ends are both sitting flat on whatever surface you're doing this on. I like to get one in each corner. Do the bottom. And I did this one, these are 14 inches long, so this one's going to be a little wider than most of them that I'm doing. So we need our pieces at, looks like probably 15 and 3/8. So, easy way to do it without a whole lot of measuring. Blade, raise it up, set that right up against the blade, and then move your fence in until that's just the right size. Make sure you're doing it on the ends, because if this is out of square, that'll shrink the distance between the two. So if it's out of square, it'll shrink the distance. We've got all these cut. You want a little bit of space in between these, because as they get wet when you're watering your plants and things, they're going to expand a little bit. Now, you want to make sure that everything's square. So, easiest way to do that is you go corner to corner and corner to corner. Those two dimensions should be the same. So, I've got 26 7/8. And I've got do the ends first to keep everything nice and square. I'm just eyeballing a space. This space in between these pieces is about, a 1/16 of an inch maybe. Router with the chamfer bit. Well, there you have it. It's a real simple planter tray, a couple of handles. This one's a pretty large one, but not real deep, just for seed starting. Things to keep in mind: wood expands and contracts. It expands across grain, so make sure that you have those gaps there. If not, this thing will blow out as you add water to this, or if you have high humidity. I didn't use glue. I don't know of any glue out there that'll hold up to planting very well. You're just constantly getting it wet, heat, dry, heat, wet. It just doesn't work very well. These slots also allow for some drainage, and then when you're done, you just clean it out real good, hang it up, and it'll dry out just fine. Something you will find, these will tend to warp a little bit. It's no big deal. I like to chamfer the bottoms. That means, or that allows you to slide it in and out of shelves and things without it catching as much. It just makes life a little bit easier. But there you have it. Very simple, easy to do. I like staples. You can use finish nails, you can use whatever nails you've got, you can use screws, you can use whatever. The dimensions don't matter too much. Just make sure you've got enough depth that you can, actually get some, your roots started, as well as, cover the seeds when you're starting them. Not a whole lot to them. Easy to do. Easy afternoon project. You can knock out a bunch of these at the same time. I'm actually making, I think I cut enough for 6. I need about 6 or 7 more of these trays. So have fun, get your garden started. Fun little project you can do in an afternoon. Knock out a bunch of these. Have fun gardening. We'll see you next time. Have a good summer.